M&T, and we're just so excited that you guys are here. Thank you for being here. This is week 4 of the program. Can you believe it? Week 4. He says yes, Frankie. That means that we are already halfway through the program, and I just want to tell you guys we are so excited for you because week after week you're showing up, you're really leaning into the content that we're delivering, and ultimately you're investing in yourself. So we're so thrilled for you. And this is the kind of thing that really takes a business owner from good to great. Participating in accelerator programs or anything that's going to really enrich the business savvy that you have. So go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause. So looking back to last week, I wasn't able to be here, but we had a pretty good panel from what I understand, and they gave you some good thoughts to think about and kind of chew on, right? We had legal professionals, we had financial professionals, an accountant, bookkeeper, right? And I hope that one of the things that you're taking away is that really there's no point in trying to lead your business alone. Sometimes we think that we've got to do it all by ourselves, but the magic happens in collaboration. Collaboration happens to be one of the principles of M&T Bank, and so we encourage you to do the same. Collaborate with people. One of the biggest pitfalls that I see as I'm out in the community meeting with business owners every day is that, people do what they do really well. What do I mean? So their trade, their craft, right? They do that really well, but there are sometimes other areas of the business that they're not necessarily focusing on. So for example, let's take an auto mechanic, right? This person might be the best auto mechanic in the city of Harrisburg, but maybe over here on the legality side of things, maybe some things are being neglected. Or maybe it's the bookkeeping. And those are the kinds of things that if we're not keeping up on, then the business stands the risk of falling apart. Would you agree? So, the message here is find good partners and leverage them. One of the biggest things that's a philosophy out in the business world is your best friends as a business owner should be your accountant, your lawyer, and your banker. So here at M&T, we're excited to be one of your best friends as the banking component of that equation. So I'm just going to open it up for a brief moment. I'd love to hear from you. Any light bulb moments from last week? Oh, guys, I'm comfortable with silence. It's okay. Somebody raise the hand. Who wants to speak? Light bulb moments from last week. Frankie, I knew that you were interested to speak.
I would say a light bulb moment would be from, I forgot his name, but he was a bookkeeper. Zach, yes. I can't remember exactly because I was just called out of blue. So I will say, though, he talked a lot about a lot of different strategies when it came to not just incorporating your business, but like tax saving strategies when it comes to essentially paying yourself. And
there's a live stream going on, so you have to talk through there so they can hear you.
Thanks, Lord.
I would say, I think it's up there. I would say for sure just tax saving possibilities through paying yourself and a lot of other cool things that I can't remember right now, but he definitely dropped a lot of gems around bookkeeping and also his services too as well and what to look for in a bookkeeper.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else thoughts? Yeah, want to hand that back, please?
For me was on your contract, the clause that says that the client will be responsible for the lawyer fees when you don't get paid on time. And that was very eye-opening.
Yeah, why should you absorb a cost for somebody not doing what they're supposed to do in the agreement, right? Excellent, thank you. Did anybody find the discussion about fraud protection? I know Jody was here from M&T. The fraud protection, did that spike anybody's interest? I'll tell you that is something that we're discussing every day because fraud is just rampant in our society. So we want to give you the tools and resources, to be successful with that and avoid that. All right, we have another comment.
I think one thing I really got out of it is you have to grind in business. And whatever I do when I work, I really grind at it. It's not a 9 to 5. You're not going to get rich just coming in working 9 to 5. You really going to have to work. That's really what I took out of it last week. You got to grind in your business and never give up.
Excellent. Yeah. Be tenacious, you all. This is your opportunity. Obviously, you've all started a business because you're passionate about it, because you're trying to make a difference and solve a problem for something, right? So thanks for the comment. Appreciate it. All righty. Well, so what do we got going on tonight? We're diving into something that's pretty important. We're diving into your pitch. And so the pitch is all about how you're going to tell your story. Right? It's all about how you want to explain your business and get the people excited about what you have going on. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. You know, you're going to be pitching to a lot of people, whether that's a customer, right? Every day you're going to be pitching to customers on some level or another. Maybe at some point you're going to be pitching to an investor. Don't forget that at the end of this program, you're actually going to be pitching to our panel of judges with your pitch. So, by the way, there's money involved in that. It's a contest. Does anybody here like free money? Yeah. I do too. Good luck with that. All right. We have some exciting speakers tonight. I'm really excited for you to hear from a few different people that we've invited for this evening. We've got a dynamic speaker. He's standing over here. This is Jamie Arroyo, and he is the CEO of Assets in Lancaster, and he's worked with all kinds of business owners, you guys. He's worked with all kinds of business owners and worked with them to kind of craft their pitch so that it's something that connects with people and it's something that sticks. So after dinner, then, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have a panel discussion. Jamie's going to stick around for that. He'll be part of that. We're going to hear from entrepreneurs like Joy Boudreau. She is the owner of Joy of Events Group, and she also happens to be an alum of the Harrisburg Small Business Lab with M&T. We've got Corey Dupree, who's here. Is Corey here? He must be out in the hall. Oh, there he is. Yep, so there's Corey. He's going to be part of our panel. He's got a lot going on, but he's vice president, and he's a community leader with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of South Central PA. Tiffany Hall is going to be joining us. She is the CEO of Positive, which is a play on her name. There she is. Hi, Tiffany. How are you? You got a lot of exciting things going on recently. We're excited to hear about that. Thanks for being here. And then our panel discussion is ultimately going to be led by Leland Nelson, who is the co-founder of Dirty Dog Hauling, and he's also got experience as the president of the African American Chamber. So you've not only got somebody who's building their business, but is a community leader as well, an influencer and really trying to make a difference in the community and the people who live there. So a couple of quick housekeeping items. We need you all working on round one of your pitch. Does everybody have what was provided to you in our M&T folders at the beginning of our sessions a couple of weeks ago? Okay. Does anybody need a copy for now of our official rules? Okay. Could I get a partner to help me hand some things out here? I just want to point a couple of things out to you because this week marks our week to start round one of pitches, and the round one pitch is actually going to be due next week, June the 4th. So we're looking for, just give me one moment, friends. This here. There's about 15 of them. If you need an extra, would you just raise your hand real quick? Who still needs the rules? All right, so as Don is handing that out, the round one pitch is due by when? What's the date? June 4th. June 4th, okay? So we need you submitting round one pitch by June 4th. The official rules document, okay. Does everybody have it then? Almost? I'm just going to wait a moment until everybody has that. When you have it, hold it up, please. Okay? All right. If you go to number 3 on the official rules document, you can read starting at number 3 and read all the way through the round 1 section. Okay? Your round 1 pitch is going to be a written pitch. You are permitted to go ahead and submit a video if that's what you would prefer to do, and our judges will look at that and offer you some critique for the round 2 pitch. However, that is not necessary. What we're looking for you to do is your round 1 written pitch. Okay? Flip ahead a little bit. Wanted to share a couple of things with you. You've got round 1 pitch questions in your document. So that's going to look like this document here. It's got a green stripe across the top. Round 1 pitch questions. Everybody sees that? Thank you. Any questions so far? Okay. So just recapping where we've been, round 1 starts on number 3 of the document. Round 1 is a written pitch, and it'll go on to discuss the judging criteria. So really take a look at that and make sure that you're kind of adhering to what's been designed for your pitch, okay? I want to talk to you real quick about how we're going to submit. You're going to be receiving, if you've not already, an email from Intralinks. Thank you, yes. So for those of you who've checked your email, you'll notice it's in your inbox. For those of you who haven't, it's going to be there when you go to check. Okay, Intralinks is a file sharing program, so we're able to exchange documents back and forth. But go ahead and create your credentials. That is where you're going to be submitting your round 1 pitch. Okay? Now, oh, yeah, you have you've got a guide that you would have collected on your way in, so you don't get confused. That guide is there. It's pretty savvy. It should walk you right through. Any questions? Round 1 pitches are due when? Thank you. Lorena? Yeah, so communication is key in this case. If you're having issues, let us know right away. Sound good? Question? So it does need to be written, and then if you choose to submit a video, you're welcome to do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's not required for this round. Okay. All right, so I'm going to wrap up my comments here, but just a quick challenge to all of you. I want to challenge you to get involved tonight, all right? This is your chance to get inside the minds of people who have been here before, people who have done this before. So please be thinking, as Jamie's going to step up here in a moment and give his presentation, please be thinking of some questions that you would like to pose to Jamie and to pose to the panel. There's not a question that's off limits, and obviously I think we've established over the past few weeks this is a safe zone for you, so please raise the questions that you have, because really this is your time to shine. This is your moment, okay? Tonight's all about really just showing off what makes your business special, and we want you to tell your story with confidence. Sound good? All right. Well, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jamie Arroyo.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be with all of you today. My name is Jamie Arroyo. I am the CEO of Assets. And a little bit about Assets and myself. Assets is a nonprofit organization based in Lancaster City. We help entrepreneurs start and grow businesses through business training, entrepreneur training, as well as community lending. So we do microloan and micro grants for entrepreneurs that need access to capital, and then help them get capital ready to get traditional financing when they're looking to scale. But my story doesn't start at Assets. Oh, that sounds good. My story doesn't start at Assets. So while I was actually a banker before I was at Assets, I had a pretty long career there, grew up in Lancaster City, and I came to Lancaster as a toddler because my grandfather used to fly back and forth from Puerto Rico to Lancaster County and Pennsylvania to work on the farms. So when my parents came and decided to move to Lancaster and they wanted to raise their 2 kids, they were trying to think of, where is there going to be economic opportunity? And this is where they decided to raise their family. So what I love about Central PA is this idea of economic opportunity and using entrepreneurship and business as a way to really help families create a good quality life. So at Assets, and what drew me to Assets was just that. It was economic opportunity, it was entrepreneurship, but not just for building businesses for the sake of building businesses. It's helping people. It's helping them raise a family through having better economics. It's by solving hard problems that our society is facing today. And it's also helping and being good stewards of our environment and our neighborhoods. So our philosophy around business at Assets is creating this human-centered economy, an economy that serves people and not the other way around. So when we help businesses and entrepreneurs like you, and you'll see this throughout delivering our pitch, it's really about how are we making this connection to solving these types of problems. So my day job, as I mentioned, CEO of Assets, and before I came to Assets as a banker, I actually volunteered at Assets helping entrepreneurs deliver their pitch, which was extremely exciting for me and why I'm really glad to be here tonight. So what I hope to give you guys today is some simple tools that will not only help you with your pitch at the end of this program, but hopefully help you with your pitch as you continue to deliver the pitch, whether it's to investors or just your family or friends that are asking you, well, what's your business? And you get 30 seconds before they start asking you other questions. And it's really a simple concept of what is the why, what are you doing, and then how are you doing it? So whenever we're delivering a pitch, we really want to start with why. And it's the Simon Sinek cliche of, start with why. What is the reasoning behind why you do anything, whether it's you're working for someone or deciding to solve this business? But when you think about your why, it's typically a story that you can tell, something that can really capture an audience to start to get them engaged as to not just your business, but who is the entrepreneur behind the business, right? So there's a reason why when I came up here today, I started first with a story around my grandfather, right? So before you guys listen to me as to why is this guy talking to us about pitching, I want to tell you guys about, where I'm from and why I'm even associated with Assets. So what drew me and connected me to this organization and why I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship. Whenever you're delivering your pitch, you really want to focus on the story that draws you to entrepreneurship and to you to solving this problem. A pitch is really about connecting with your audience. It's about building trust. Now, what is trust? Can someone explain to me in very simple words what trust means to them? I lied. I said I wasn't going to make you run around with a mic and and I could get my steps in, so it's all right. Yeah. Anyone want to tell me what trust means to them?
We'll start over here.
Thanks, Mike.
To me, it's just really one simple word, and that's loyalty.
Loyalty?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would say belief.
Belief, yeah. Comfort. Yeah.
We've got people on live stream, so we're going to go ahead and use the microphone
yeah.
so that they can hear what you're saying.
If you don't use the microphone, they can't hear anything.
Reliability.
It's good. And we have one more over here around trust.
Hi, friend.
Commitment.
Commitment.
Awesome.
Commitment.
Believe that you're able.
So when we're giving our pitch, one of the first things that we want to start with is trust, because trust allows us to build this connection. And there's 3 components when we help our entrepreneurs talk about building trust, and this is something you could keep in your toolbox for many different things, but it's especially true with entrepreneurship. It's these 3 components around trust. It's empathy. So empathy is you care about me, and I trust that you care about me. Authenticity, so we mentioned reliability, right? Is someone showing up as their authentic self when they're presenting? So a lot of us really don't want to do business with a partner or an entrepreneur if we don't feel that they're showing up as their authentic self, right? Or that they're empathetic, that they actually care about solving my problem, right? And then the third thing, which is extremely important in the business world, is good judgment. Can I trust that this entrepreneur is going to make good, logical decisions, right? And you have to convey those 3 different components with trust, all in a short time frame when you're describing the why behind your business, right? So when you think about the story that you want to tell, why you're doing this business, why you decided to start this journey, you have to think about, how do I build trust with my customer or with the investor or our banker, right? Why are they going to be empathetic, or how are they going to know that I'm being empathetic to them? I'm showing up as my authentic self, and I'm the right entrepreneur to have good judgment and make good, sound, logical decisions when it comes to business. So that is starting with why. So I actually want us to take a couple minutes to think about, what is your why when it comes to starting the business that you're starting? And I have a prompt that I want us to start off with. So what was the moment that made you start this business? Okay. When you think about the business that you have written down and you've been working on over the last few weeks, what was the moment that you said, aha, this is what I want to start? Okay. So if you could take about 1 to 2 minutes and write that down. So when you think about that moment, think about the problem you were facing, the situation you were in, who was around you. What made you go, aha, I got it? So I'll give one example of a friend of mine who this is still a business idea right now for him, and he's in the process of getting it up and going. But he decided that he wanted to open up a running store. And not just a running store with sneakers, but specifically a running store that had, whether it was your gels, a water bottle, some waters that you could take with you, all these things, because my friend is very forgetful. So whenever we would go out on long runs, and if anyone does endurance running here and does marathon running or anything like that, fuel is very important. So those little gel packs that you see runners have, whether it's hydration is very important, even, carbs, whatever it might be. And he always forgot to bring this along with him. So I wasn't giving him any, and no one else was giving him any. So he kept running into this problem that it's like, man, I'm always forgetful of these. And whenever we would meet up, he was like, I think I want to start a running store, but specifically in a location so that way when people decide to go out to run through the city, they can, if they forget, stop by and buy a gel in single packs, or get the carbs that they need, or get some water. So something that was easily accessible for runners in their initial meeting spot before they would take out for a run. So location was very important for him. Selling things in single packets was very important. So as he's developing this business idea, he was thinking about, what is the problem that I'm trying to solve, and what's my story, what's my personal connection to it? So anyone want to share when was the moment they decided they wanted to start their business?
So I belong to a gym, and I was introduced to a number of modalities. I suffer from a lot of pain from playing football when I was younger, and basically athletics. So my knees to my neck, from spinal stenosis to everything. And at this gym, they have a number of different modalities, such as PEMF therapy, and red light therapy, that actually, after going through it a couple of times, really started to alleviate my pain. But it became to a point where the hours for that therapy were inconsistent. They weren't on my schedule, and trying to get there was, a 20-minute drive through the city to get to the kind of the suburbs of sorts, so to speak. And it was at that point where I was like, people need something that is dependable, something where they can actually access it when they need to, not when the hours are supposed to be there. So I came up with the idea of developing a wellness and biohacking space in Lancaster City where people could get to, and it would be accessible to as many people as possible, so that everybody could help and fill those modalities, from contrast therapy to the PEMF therapy as well.
Nice. Thank you. Anyone else want to share their moment?
Yeah, so I moved up here 6 years ago from Austin, Texas, and right before the pandemic started, once it hit in 2019, I didn't have anything to do, so I just decided to start smoking barbecue like they do back in Texas, and it grew into something more, into a small business, and now I usually do pop-ups, and I sell out within an hour and a half, but it's great because I get to feed the community and be a small business here in Harrisburg, and I get to do something I love. So yeah.
Why do you love it?
I mean, have you ever had Texas barbecue?
I have. Yeah.
That should speak for itself.
Yeah.
But I love the art.
Sell it to me.
But I love the art of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I get to play with fire, and then that fire, it's an art. I mean, the art of the fire, the art of the brisket, how you, from the beginning to end, where you get your cut of meat. I mean, the amount of love and care that you pour into it, it is just as much as an artist to create something, fine dining or a painting. And each one of those briskets, you can feel it. Yeah. You can feel when it's ready. You know when it's ready. You can feel your smoker. You know when that's ready. And I can look at the fire and be like, okay, I know in about 30 minutes I'm going to need to do this. Yeah. And then the other thing, and I'll share one more why. With your question, and if you hadn't had it, and I would serve you a brisket, and I've had people say, well, isn't all barbecue the same? And I'll say, okay, that's great. Try a slice of this. And it's excuse my language, but it's the what the fuck moment when they put it in their mouth and they know it's something different, and it changes their perspective. And I can see that change, and that hits home. So, yeah.
So the minute you started explaining, and I'm sure everyone here saw that switch, right? It went from, oh, I was bored during the pandemic to start something, and then all of a sudden when I pushed you a little bit, you said, it's a work of art, right? I can tell, and the minute you said brisket, my mouth started watering. I was like, damn, do we have some brisket here? But that's the passion that whenever you're doing your pitch, you want to make sure that you're leaning into, right? Because that's the why you're starting the business. It wasn't because you were bored. It was because you saw it as a work of art, right? And many of you here see your business as your creative expression, right? But you have to convey that within the first 30 to 60 seconds of your pitch, right? Because if someone is going to buy from you or they're going to invest in your business, their mouth needs to salivate when they hear the word brisket, right? They need to get that excited about it just as much as you, and it's that connection that you have the opportunity to make the minute you start expressing it in that way, right? So, yep.
Yeah, I just thought that I would share the why I kind of like started this journey. So I would like to push back on the fact that it's a moment. I think it's more of a domino effect instead, where it's a chain of events that kind of like converge eventually. Memorial Weekend marks 2 years since I was let go from a full-time job soon after a family death, where I sacrificed a lot for the company. And I tried having a consultancy and working for others. And I found out that I was really good at researching, at finding things, finding resources, finding funding, finding grants. I could find a lot of things. So why not take a chance on myself and my ideas? This is also at the same time that a campaign was going around where in the video game industry, 2% of funding goes to women-owned studios. This is not counting studios owned by Black women. This is not counting studios owned by Latina women. That's just women overall. So it's a huge chance that I'm taking, but I really believe that we could do with more Caribbean stories, with more stories highlighting Latin American perspectives in an interactive medium, where I'm not just writing a book that you're reading, I'm bringing you into where I grew up. And I think that that's something that, coupled with the fact that it's specialization services are what we offer, where we offer two very hard to come by services in games: voice acting and narrative design, which is game writing. There's both saturation, but it's very difficult to find both. And that's kind of like just why I did it, because I thought, why not?
And you're 100% right. It's not always just a moment. It's a series of events that have led to that moment to happen. And when I say moment, that could be 30 seconds. It could be 5 months, right? It's all dependent on your personal journey, on what got you to this point, to wanting to solve this problem that we see, or try to create a solution. So you started to get into the next part, which is the what. So now that you tell your story, right, and you start to hook your audience, you've built trust, right? So you've made that connection as you start your pitch. Now that you got them hooked, they're going to say, whoa, what is it that you do, right? What is your business? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What is the solution? What is the target market? Like, now the what starts to pop up, right? So it's important that when you're delivering your pitch, you are very, very clear on what is the problem that you're trying to solve. I would probably argue that most of us here are starting a business because we identified some type of problem, some type of challenge that we specifically dealt with, or maybe we see just a gap in the market. We just say, this thing that I'm trying to build, or a service that I'm trying to provide, just doesn't exist, or it doesn't exist the way that I feel, the way I can deliver it. So whenever you're describing the what of your business, it's important to be very clear on what the problem is. What is the solution? So now you've identified it. What are you going to do? What is the solution that's unique to you, right? And then, who's it for? Because a lot of folks want to, especially an investor, they're going to want to figure out, well, is there a market for this? Unfortunately, there are a lot of problems you can solve that probably won't have a market for it, which means that people aren't willing to pay for the service or for the product. So it's a very important when you're describing your business model, which is really where it fits in this part of your pitch. It's again describing what is the problem, what is the solution, and then who is the target market? Is there a market for this? Are people willing to pay for it? Okay. So take a couple minutes again, and I want you to jot down, and I really want you to try to condense this into 1 or 2 sentences, right? And feel free to use this framework that's on the slide here. So we help the target market. So who are you helping, right? These are the folks that are going to pay for your service. Solve, what is the problem that you're trying to solve with, and then the solution, okay? And you don't have to fill it all in 1 sentence right now, but as you're jotting down your ideas, use a couple sentences, try to keep it simple, and then you can start working it into this framework here. And what I will say is one of the reasons why we want to focus on just the essential of this is because whenever you're doing your pitch, you don't always have too much time, right? Sometimes you have 15 minutes, 10 minutes. At Assets, we give folks 5 minutes to give their pitch. But sometimes you're just in an elevator with an investor and they ask you what you do and you have 30 seconds before they get off on the next floor, right? So you never know when it is. So the simpler that you can keep what you do, the better. So take a couple minutes. Again, identify what the problem is that you're solving, what is the solution, and then who's the market for it. So I'm going to read a statement from one of our entrepreneurs to give you guys a little bit of an example of what this can look like. So we help busy parents provide healthy meals by delivering pre-prepped, allergy-friendly lunch kits. Okay. We help busy parents provide healthy meals by delivering pre-prepped, allergy-friendly lunch kits. So you can see within that sentence, you can identify who are they selling to, what was the problem, right? Food that maybe wasn't healthy, that contained maybe some allergens for folks that maybe had allergies, and then what was the solution? Would anyone like to share?
Hello. So my business is towing. So in most people's mind, it sounds kind of generic, but the people that I'm helping are people that are stranded, broke down, motorists in accidents, people that are traveling with families, and people who need help in emergencies because they're on highways, stuck in ditches and things like that. We also help to fight blight and environmental issues by removing like abandoned cars, creating eyesores and things where kids might play and there's some sharp edges and things like that. So we do try to clean up things like that. So I believe those are some of the problems, and those are some of the solutions. Also, in helping with the solution, I think that for me, it was trying to be a little bit more cordial. I just always remember people being so mean and nasty in this business. So I just want to show people that even when they're broke down, like a lot of times, by the time you call a roadside service and I get to you, you might be there for 2 hours. So I'm really the one you're probably going to lash out on. So I keep in mind that it's probably been a while, and I just try to console people and make people feel happy, especially when they're with their families and stuff. And I think that, to me, is kind of something that just kind of drives me more and more and more, because people are happy to see me. They're excited I can get them out, because most times you get stuck, you're trying to pull it out yourself. So some guy comes there and he has a few little strategies and stuff like that, and he gets you out. After you've been there for 3, 4, 5 hours, you are super happy. So in that respect, I feel as though that we're creating some solutions for problems people have.
Love it. So as you start to think about that, one of the things is when you have someone asks you about what you do, how do you condense that now into the 1 or 2 sentences, right? So one of the things I thought about was just like, oh, you help you help clean up the environment, right? When you take cars that are abandoned, or I help people in uncomfortable situations, right? Or help people in crisis. I'm gonna skip a little ahead here because the next part is help, but you mentioned about making people good customer service pretty much. I had my car towed recently because I had a flat tire, and the guy that was driving gave my son a little toy tow truck, and my son was ecstatic about it, right? But he was just like, yeah, there's typically kids around and they're always just like being fussy, so I have these little toys. So going back to the client experience part, so just a thumbs up on that. Anyone else want to share?
So, oh, that was loud. The little charcuterie box is for people who are looking to elevate their functions by providing upscale finger delights. We also specialize in charcuterie workshops that are cool for private events. Also, businesses who are looking for fun and unique team bonding experiences.
You've done this before. That was succinct. Nice. Anyone else?
Thank you. Legends of Autism is creating a one-stop clinic where families of children with autism and special needs can access a variety of therapies, resources, and support without long wait lists or red tape. Our goal is to provide everything needed in one place to help children thrive now and into adulthood.
Excellent. Nice. Anyone else?
Trying to stick to your framework. At John Bibbins Photography, no matter if you're just starting out, no matter if you're a Fortune 100 company or a nonprofit cause, you all have a story to tell that needs to be told. I provide video testimonials to connect with your audience and to make sure your story is told. You worked hard to put your event on. We make sure that it's delivered to your audience.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just stick to what you have up there. I believe in you. We help schools solve academic decline as well as being stuck at an average academic status. We're focusing on behavior, discipline, and cultural development by determining what the school has been conformed to, we're able to reform and actually transform school.
Thank you. One more.
Hello. At Clean & Co., we understand that a clean home and workspace is essential, but so is the health of your employees, clients, and the planet. We provide professional, commercial, and residential cleaning using chemical-free, EPA-certified products.
So great work, y'all. You guys are professionals at this already. So we talked about why we're doing what we're doing. So we talked about connecting with the audience whenever we're pitching. And then after we connect with the audience, we describe what is it that we're doing, right? Which is talking about the problem that we're trying to solve and who we're trying to solve it for. And then we have to describe how we're going to do it, right? And there's really 3 different ways that you want to think about how, or explaining how you're going to implement the what and the why. So it's, does your business have traction? Are you creating value? And what's your unique differentiator? Okay. So how you're doing something is there traction? So a good example, and we just found out there's this drink company that that's local that actually just connected with a big distributor, huge deal. And I was remembering years ago, this was like 6-7 years ago when I first met with them. And one of their benefits was that they had traction. They were already having sales going because they didn't wait for investment. They actually went directly to local local cafes to carry their drink. And what they did was they created a proof of concept. They were showing that this works because I am selling the drink already, right? So they had traction on their side. So when I asked them how you're going to make money, they said, well, I know because we're going to go to cafes and restaurants to carry our drinks, and I know that works because we've already been doing it, right? Now we just need to scale the business. So when you're describing how, is one way is, do you have traction in the business? The second thing is value. Are you adding value to your customer or to the investor, right? So is this a business that is scalable? Is this something that I can open up multiple shops of, or I can have a product in hundreds of stores, right? Am I going to be able to provide value over the long term? Meaning, is this scalable? And then the third thing is, what's your unique differentiator? What's your advantage? Is it you as the entrepreneur? Is it, I only can make this work of art, right? And you're buying into the entrepreneur? Or is it that this product is filling a gap that currently exists in the marketplace, right? What is your unique advantage that doesn't exist in any other business, right? Because one of the challenges that you might find as an entrepreneur is that there might be a similar business model out there or a similar business that currently exists, but why do people come to you? Good example is, I think about my barber, right? There are tons of barber shops in Lancaster City, a lot of great barbers, but why do I go to my specific barber? Right? Well, he has a unique advantage where I have a good relationship with him. I like the way he cuts his hair or cuts my hair. Like, there's these unique differentiators where I will continue to go to him, even though he keeps raising his prices on me, compared to any other barber that might be cheaper, that probably gives me the same haircut if someone else looked at it, but there's something unique about him that I like going to. So what is your unique advantage as the entrepreneur, as the business that really provides that specific solution to your customer, right? So I want you to take a minute and think about what one of those 2 or 3 things, and maybe it's all 3 of them or 2 of them, but at least one. Does your business already have traction, right? Have you proven that you can sell your service or your product? Can you provide value? Is this something that you feel is scalable, right? Is this a product that you think can exist in hundreds of stores across the country? Is this a service that you know you can fill this gap with? Or what is your unique advantage, right? Are you special as the entrepreneur? Is it the business that's special? What is unique about it that is really going to give you the advantage in the marketplace? So take a minute and think about which one or multiple of those three things relates to your business. My barber? Oh, okay. I go to Who's Next? Flacco. Yeah. Yeah. Flock's been cutting my hair since I was 11 years old, back when he was in Champs. So, yeah. He keeps raising those prices. I'm like, fine. Oops. As you're doing a pitch, if you have a slide deck, don't forget to move to the next slide like I did. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to jump to the final thing of your pitch. So we discussed the why. So this is the story that you're using to build a connection with your audience, whether that's a consumer, a customer, or your investor, right? So how are you building trust, that connection, your story, that's the hook. Then we went to what. So what is it that you're doing? What is the problem that you're solving? What is the solution? What is the market? We talked about how. How are you going to do this? Do you have traction? Do you provide value? Do you have a unique advantage? And the one mistake you don't want to make, which I see a lot of people make whenever they're doing their pitches, is they go through that entire process, and at the very end, they forget to make an ask, right? So why are you pitching? What is the ask that you want to make, right? Is it an investor that you want an investment in? If so, how much? For what? Right? Is it a loan? Is it a customer? Like, what is it that you're asking for? So you need to know why you're pitching, and then what is going to be the clear ask at the end, right? So an example, you guys are going to be pitching for some dollars, right? So if you're going for first place is $5,000, I believe. So if your ask is, I want $5,000, what is it for? How will you use those dollars to elevate your business, to start your business, to scale your business, right? So just make sure that you wrap up your pitch with a clear and confident ask at the end. Okay. So we'll skip the practice, but I do have some homework for you guys. So I'm really excited about the panel that's coming up next, because I feel I'm going to learn some things, so super excited. But here's a couple things that you can do to work on your pitch before the big day and get some practice. So recording your pitch, okay? I know it's super, super awkward, but it is always a good idea to look at yourself, to record yourself, and then listen, think about the cadence, see how you move. So sometimes folks are having trouble with the way they pace when they walk back and forth, or do you say too many times, or are you looking awkward because you just won't move? Like, what are those little things that you can work on, but you just don't know unless you record yourself, right? Then I want you to practice pitching to a couple of other people, whether they're friends or family. I know that's also awkward too, but we got to get used to pitching in front of folks. So pick 2 or 3 friends or family members to pitch, and then gather that feedback, right? Allow them to tell you some feedback. Be curious. Don't get defensive, because I know how sometimes this can be, but you want to be curious about that feedback. Okay, so so this is some homework that you could take with you to practice before the big day. But as you guys go on your journey, one of the number one skill sets that as an entrepreneur you'll need is how you communicate your business. Whether, again, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, you really want to hone in on this skill and work on this over time. So I hope that was valuable. We'll look forward to the panel, but I'm also happy to answer any questions during dinner. But thank you for giving me the time to chat.
All right, how do we feel about Jamie? Jamie, thanks so much. That was excellent. We appreciate that. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we're at the point where it's dinner time, so I'm going to invite you out into the hallway. Go ahead and grab your dinner. We have some delicious food from McAllister's Deli. So please jump into that. We are going to make this a relatively working lunch. So take a few minutes to go get that. Dinner. Take a few minutes to go get that. Bring it on back. And as always, we'll just go ahead and make the good use of our time. We've got a really great panel coming up. I hope you're excited. Thanks. Nice job, sir. Nice job. How do you feel?
It's easier just to do catering right now. Just with my busy schedule. Yeah, that's the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue. If I can get away and not do full-time work, I would do this one. Yeah. I hope that comes true. Me too.
Just like that. Yeah.
Announcement. Hey everybody, we're going to get started pretty precisely at 7:15, so just to give you a heads up. Thank you. How's McAllister's Deli? Do we like it? All right, everybody, we're going to keep on moving here. I want to invite our panelists down. If you'd join me down here at the front. Here they come. All right. And Jamie will be back with us in just a moment. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, we're really excited to have a panel discussion because there's nobody who's going to tell the story like the people who've actually been through it. Would you agree? Yeah, so these are some dynamic leaders in our community. They're business owners, entrepreneurs, and so without further ado, I'm going to toss the ball to them. And what we're going to do, friends, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because, as I said, nobody tells your story like you do. Just a brief introduction, though, because we want to maximize the time for everybody. Leland, should we start with you? You want to go last? All right, how about we start at the end then?
Testing? Oh, now you're at the end. Oh, wait, no, go ahead. Okay, well, let's switch. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Hall. I am the founder of Positive. I coach emerging and aspiring speakers, business owners, and entrepreneurs on how to create clear and concise messaging when it comes to your business in order to launch, scale, as well as generate revenue for your business and tap into your ideal target audience, even if you have a fear of public speaking.
Very nice.
Nice and easy. Jamie Arroyo, CEO of Assets.
Good evening. I'm Joy Boudreau, owner of Joy of Events. I also am an event coordinator at Penn State Health and Penn State College of Medicine, and I was the first Small Business Lab grant recipient, so I'm happy to be back.
My name is Corey Dupree. I am the Vice President of Community and Culture for Big Brothers Big Sisters, as well as I am the founder and executive director for my own nonprofit, which is the Ethos Foundation, in which we focus on getting books that highlight Black and brown authors and diverse stories and donating those to different educational spaces in which we host curated events throughout the year, including our Men Raising Black and Brown Boys Conference, which is what brought me to the incubator space in the first place.
My name is Leland
That's a hot mic, yeah. You're good.
My name is Leland Nelson. I'm the moderator for this evening, owner of Dirty Dog Hauling, president of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Central PA. It's my pleasure to moderate these individuals this evening, and we should have a great conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, let's see how we'll do it. We're gonna try to keep our responses to a minute, Corey. To a minute, Corey. Corey, to a minute. That's all I'm gonna say.
Make sure our phones are on silent, Leland.
Those that heard my phone earlier ring, I'll address the elephant in the room. Sometimes during pitches, your phone goes off, your keys drop, they close the door, they have conversations. The pitches I've been into in the past, and we'll get into it, I was at a dinner event, and they said, hey, pitch, and everybody was eating dinner. 5 minutes, and they didn't give you a room full of silence in a library. It was like a live pitch, a lot of money in the room, but they were having dinner and said, hey, tell us what you want us to invest in. So sometimes it's not an ideal environment in a closed vacuum. It's gonna be live on the elevator, on the escalator, et cetera. So, Corey, I'm gonna start with you. What's one way a business owner can connect emotionally with their audience, even if they're nervous?
I would say put yourself into that person's shoes, right? For me and my business, and I'm gonna keep it to a minute, it was very personal because it came from the lens of me being a dad and me not having the resources. So I know when I had spoken with other individuals, whether they were judges or otherwise, or just people who were inside the room, just being able to go ahead and kind of have a sense of empathy and just relatability.
What we'll do, I have questions picked out from each one of you, but if you want to add on to it, please feel free. But we'll go with Jamie next. You did a great presentation. Can you share an example of a pitch that really impressed you? What was impressive about that pitch?
So probably one of the first things, so the Assets runs a competition called the Great Social Enterprise Pitch. And it's been doing it for 10 years now. And when I first started volunteering with Assets, they would always have the participants behind the podium giving their presentation. And everyone always looked very stiff when they were up there. And one of the participants that I was coaching, one of the things that we worked on was that he actually came out from behind the podium. And movement has I don't know, there's something about movement on the stage that allows someone to express truly their business. And when he came out from behind the podium and started moving and engaging with the audience, you almost didn't even care what his business was. You were just like, I want to buy whatever that guy's selling. And it was, I had mentioned earlier that your business is a creative expression for you as an entrepreneur. So one of the pitches that really stood out for me was when they just had the opportunity to get outside the box and use movement to express their business.
Very good. So we're going to Joy now. So Joy, winner, congratulations again. What tips do you have for someone who's pitching in person for the first time? What makes a good impression?
I'd say authenticity. Goes back to what Corey was saying about telling your story. So pitching for the first time, immediately you're in front of a group of people and you're anticipating what they want to hear as opposed to remembering about your business and why you started your business in the first place. So when you're pitching, you have to get that out of your mind. You have to get out of your mind of like, I'm pitching to impress these people so much. You have to share your passion, share your story, remember your why, and actually focus on being your most authentic self, because that will resonate more than trying to interpret what this panelist wants, what that panelist wants, because they might all be looking for different things. But if you can actually put together why you're doing what you're doing and present yourself as your true self, that'll read better to people.
I like that. And Tiffany, what is one thing you wish someone told you before you pitched?
That I was going to lose both times I was here. I wish somebody would have told me that. No, I am actually still connected with M&T Bank, even though I did lose both times. So my business banking is with M&T Bank. I still show up for M&T Bank events. There's not anything that anybody could have really told me beforehand. Going into it blindly was the best thing for me, and leveraging those opportunities. I'm sure you all have heard your network is your net worth, right? That's true. So in the loss, even if you don't win, leverage the opportunities, because you heard me say I was here twice and I lost both times. But being committed to this, and to each of you as entrepreneurs in your growth, you come back because of what you learned. But I wish somebody would have told me I was going to lose twice.
And could I add to that? Sure. So I'm big on just mindset things, and this is something Ganesh would yell at you for. You said you lost, right? And I think of it as you learned.
I said that. Are you listening?
My
I said I learned the lesson. Come on, I'm positive.
This is my sis, so we could do this. But could you accentuate? Okay. All right. Listen, my roller coaster brain is all over the place, but to really piggyback off of that, the network is your net worth, or your network is your net worth, but also you have to go ahead and network across, right? My across is way different than your across. Like, it's way different than your across. So just ensure that, like in your business banking, this is where she's at. She's with M&T Bank. So please don't be afraid to network across.
And Corey, we'll stay with you. What advice would you give someone that feel that they don't have the right personality to pitch? You have a pitching personality. We can all agree, right? But not everyone's Corey. Not everyone's going to, grab the microphone and go on a, dissertation for 20 minutes. Sometimes it might not be as much. So what gives you they don't have the personality to pitch. How do they still step forward? Because there can be money in the room, there can be opportunity, And we know a closed mouth does not get fed, so we don't want them to miss the opportunity if it comes their way.
Don't plant self-doubt inside of yourself, right? As soon as you plant that seed, as in, this is where I'm weak at, I'm not good, I don't have that personality, find out where your strengths are and lean really into that. And make sure that you're practicing. I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times, as it was mentioned earlier by Jamie, just to go ahead and truly practice. I always go ahead and go the route of a 30-second pitch. I'll have a 3-minute pitch and then a 5-minute pitch, right? Because if you're at a dinner party, right, and somebody asks, what do? You give them that quick 30-second spiel, right? And then they're like, well, what else? Tell me more about that. That leads it into the 3-minute conversation, so on and so forth. But definitely practice and don't plant those seeds of self-doubt.
Nice. Coming back to Joy, what's one thing you did to help you before you pitched to feel prepared?
So for me, my process was to actually research in the industry, research my competitors in the industry, because I wanted to see what they were doing, but at the same time, touching back on what Corey said, I wanted to lean into my strengths. So what separated me from what they were doing? What made me unique? What was my, my shining light? So once I did that, I focused in, and I focused my pitch on what I did in my service and how it would relate to others, but I also focused on the specific things that were specific to me, unique to me, how I would flex and my method of working with clients as opposed to other people, and what made me marketable in my sphere.
Good. Jamie, how do you suggest someone with a little business background could talk confidently about their numbers or business model? Business models are very important. They're really good at what they do, and here comes the business model. It's important that we get it right.
Probably, well, there'll be two things. One, study. So, and I even do this, whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee, you should always be studying the business that you're in. You should know the numbers like the back of your hand. You should be able to talk about what your budget is, what something's gonna cost. Like, this just means that you're doing your due diligence and understanding your business model from the inside and out. So constantly studying, but then going back to practice, like I think the only way you can just spit numbers out confidently is by talking about it a lot. So the more you can talk about your business, the more opportunities you get to present, the more this stuff is just gonna come natural to you, of being able to say the numbers and be able to recite them, because you'll be saying it without even thinking about it. But studying and practicing are the two things.
I want to add a real world experience to that. We had an event this summer called the Junior Entrepreneurs and Training Program. And the students that went through the program, we said, hey, you have to run all your assumptions on paper. You have to run your business on paper. I got that from SCORE years ago when I started my business, to look at all your assumptions. What if you sell 10, 20, 30, 50? How many should you sell? And then you'll be amazed that some people say, it's 1 million people in the world or whatever, in Philly, I'm gonna sell to 10%. One person can't do that. So it's like top down versus bottom up. You can only do what one person does and get that momentum going, like the store that has the drinks. That's one person showing you some traction. But they can't say we're gonna take 1 million people times 10% and cover that market share. So knowing the first thing you do, if you say, hey, top down, the investor's gonna know, because you're only one person. So knowing those numbers and knowing your business model is very important. Tiffany.
And Leland, if I
Sure.
might add, not being afraid to have money conversations when it comes to your business, because so many of us function from an oppressed and a lack and a scarcity mindset. Not being afraid to look across the board at your numbers and talk about you need $10,000 to run your business for the month. And how do I do that? Don't be afraid to talk about the numbers, whether it's with another entrepreneur. Talk about the numbers. Talk about it.
And I'm gonna put my accounting hat on for a second. There's 3 things that go into your numbers, and make sure you write this down. It's direct material, if you have a product. It's direct labor. It's overhead. So we have the material, we buy the shirt. We print on a shirt, that's the labor. But what about the light and the energy it took to make the shirt? That bill came in from PP&L and UGI. You say, well, I didn't think about them. You have to think about them. So those 3 things go into making your product and your service. Direct labor, direct material, and overhead. and how you just do overhead, look it up, use Google, and find out what the overhead rates are. But you have to have that. That's where we see a lot of entrepreneurs mess up. Oh yeah, and they don't replace themselves in the income. There's no money in them for them. It's just like, oh yeah, I made these cookies, but where's your profit? Where's your money? You should pay, you should have your labor in that number as you're making. So if you have to replace yourself, there's the money to pay that next person.
Can I piggyback onto that? A pro forma, right, is necessary. Raise your hand if you do not know what a pro forma is. Right, so a pro forma is going to be essentially, we'll just say it's an Excel spreadsheet that has every single detail to your business, right? If you're, that sandwich that we just got, it's gonna tell you how much the lettuce is. It's gonna tell you how much the tomato is, how much the wrap is, how much every single bit of details, and that's what it's gonna go ahead and take to invest in yourself, right? So making sure that you have a pro forma, whether it's a template, otherwise, if you, after this, we can go ahead and connect, and I have one, like a template that I could go ahead and gladly share with you all, so you can at least see what that looks like.
So we want to take a question from the audience. Any questions so far?
Yep, I'll take the one right up here. What's your name again, please? David. Hi, David.
Thank you. My question is, I kind of hear it more from the aspect of like a product, when you're saying like the overhead and so forth. How do you look at that when you're doing a service, a consulting service? How are you making this performance, Excel sheet and so forth, and that aspect?
So in that situation, I offer a service, event planning and design. The intangibles are like the hours that you put in, you know, your transit, you're doing mileage to get someplace. So even though it might not be a concrete, like a tangible item to hold, there are different things, it's sweat equity that you are putting into this business. And you have to map that out for yourself. What is your value? Understanding what your worth is in your industry. So again, for me, that's why I look a lot at what my competitors are doing in this specific market, Central PA. I look regionally, what my competitors are doing in Maryland, New York, New Jersey. And then I also understand what my audience is and what the target market I'm trying to reach. And through those things, I'm able to build out my service line, whether it's day of coordination, whether it's partial planning, whether it's full planning, and let my clients understand what my value is and what it's worth to them to, you know, ask for my services.
Yeah, I have just one question about if you get a rejection from the initial pitch, or are you starting to like think about those rebuttals in advance of, you know, how can I turn that no into a yes?
Did you hear me say I lost twice? And I'll share this with you. So I lost twice. And in this last year, I've moved into my own building. So again, like we said, don't take those, thank you. So don't take those losses as losses. Like he said, take them as lessons learned. I was the 2025 Remarkable Women winner. So I just came back from Hollywood, Los Angeles. Like, don't take those losses as losses. Some losses prepare you for the next thing. So I started to look at it like I wasn't supposed to win. That wasn't my destiny as an entrepreneur. And it makes the story juicier. So when I get to say I lost twice, but look at what I did in the last year, and it's only been a year. So again, how do you leverage the opportunities, even in the losses? What can you do better? How can you better show up? So don't look at it as necessarily a loss.
Thank you. If I could just add to that, because I mentioned I've been involved with our competition that's similar since 2016. So I have a long runway of being able to see, you know, top 5 entrepreneurs that pitch their business, win competitions, et cetera. And I can confidently say this, most of the non-winners that ended up in 4th, 5th, or even didn't even become a finalist have actually been more successful than the actual top 3 over time. And there's one specific person that's one of my favorite entrepreneurs I've been able to work with. His name is Amr Al-Fayyad, who this was back in 2018, wanted to start a language access consulting business for refugee and immigrants, providing good paying jobs as translation services. He came in 5th place back in 2018. Today, he is full-time in this business, having tremendous impact in Lancaster and beyond, but is also now on the board of Assets. So he's my boss now. So this is someone that, again, came in 5th place, but is a super successful entrepreneur, serving and having good community impact. So I would definitely not let a loss set you back. As we heard here, how do you leverage this and how do you take advantage of this opportunity is important.
Oh, no, I'm good. Lastly, I agree with everyone else said, but I would also say those objections put into your next pitch. A lot of if you look at anyone that has pitched or been a part of pitch competitions, their folder on their computer has 10 versions of that same. It keeps on getting remixed over and over again for 3 minute, 5 minute, 1 minute, 10 minute. So you have to have different ones and have access to them. But you might not put it in your slides, but you might include it in your comments when you almost like know the objections coming and how you resolved it before you even heard the objection, and they'll like that.
Setup. Yeah. All right. So very quickly, I just wanted to add my original pitch was for a camp series for men raising black and brown boys, right? I pivoted that to a conference because I wanted it to be accessible, right? I know getting to a camp was going to be difficult. Transportation is the biggest barrier of entry, right, for individuals in low socioeconomic income areas, right? So I'm like, I want this to be open and available to everybody. I ended up getting partnerships with the county. I finished runner-up, so I finished second. But I pivoted, right? So I took that feedback. I was just like, all right, let's get back to it. And that was just another iteration of it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Those are really great responses. We appreciate that. Leland, did you want to field one more question from the audience, or were you looking for? Okay. Hi. What's your name? Hi, Alicia. Go ahead. Thanks.
Thank you. Jamie, you were sharing about like the business model and how you want to speak confidently about numbers. Can you give some examples of what we should be able to speak?
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably the top 3 numbers that I think about that I would want to hear as an investor is, what are your startup costs, what is your break-even point, and what is your profit margin? So if you can confidently tell me those 3 numbers, then we can have a further conversation. But if a lot of entrepreneurs, they have great ideas, but when I say, well, how much is it going to cost to start this? They're like, I don't know. Well, it's like, well, how do I know the money I'm giving you is going to be, enough? What's your break-even point? Are you making money? So whether you're a service or selling a product, a lot of entrepreneurs sell themselves short, right? They forget to include the true cost of materials or the cost of goods or even their own time. So too many entrepreneurs come and they, say this is what I'm charging, and they forget to include their own pay into the product or into the price. So understanding your break-even point is crucial to having a viable business. And then profit margin. You're in business because you're trying to make some money. So, and even if you're trying to have an impact, it takes money to do that. So those would be 3 numbers that I would say are probably the first starting point in really communicating with confidence to anyone that you're pitching to.
And if you don't mind, Leland, and just so everybody knows, we have some more workshops that are coming up where we're going to be discussing financials and really leaning into those things. So let's not dig too deep into that just for tonight. We want to stay focused on the pitch and make sure you get all the value for this conversation. Alrighty? Thanks.
So I want to go back to Tiffany. Tiffany. So 2-time loser but winner. If you could sum up your experience in one word, what would it be and why? One word.
Remarkable.
What's that?
Remarkable.
Remarkable. There you go. And why?
I mean, I was the 2025 Remarkable Women winner by the largest media network in the nation. That's my word for the next year.
I like it.
But also, again, like I said, since this, it's allowed me to connect with M&T Bank. I've spoken for M&T Bank several times because of my connections to this. And when I say I've spoken to M&T Bank, it's people who have reached out, in Lancaster, to a room full of women. And I will say, it wasn't just about business. It was about how we do heartfelt business. And that's what I want to share with you, if I can. With your pitches, do not be afraid. Be very confident in what it is that you deliver. I stood up here, I told them I was stabbed 7 times. That's why I started my business, in order to tell that story. You have to be able to stand on why it is, like he said, that heartfelt reason, because that's what's going to connect with your ideal audience. So for me, again, it's about telling that story, connecting with the people who want to tell their stories, but they may be, I'm not that vulnerable. You make yourself vulnerable and let them know why. The money will follow, trust me. But if you focus on the why, the purpose, the passion, then that's what will go into your, I feel as though my pitches were perfect, but it's okay. It's okay, it's okay, because it taught me a lot, so.
If you look at it, think about, anybody watch Shark Tank? I know I'm a big Shark Tank fan. One of the biggest exits in Shark Tank history was the Ring camera. How many of you guys have rings? Mm-hmm. He got denied from all sharks. Then he came back as a shark. Come on. With a higher valuation and net worth than a lot of those sharks on the panel. So that was a very, that was a remarkable experience too, coming back to say. Question? Yeah, we're going to kind of keep it fluid here.
Hi, do you guys have any advice if you're doing a pitch where you're offering a service and a product, but you also have a sector where you offer like the service for free? Like, how do you technically try to explain that part when it comes to like finances?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
So recently in the area, Raising Cane's open, correct? Everybody knows the chaos between Raising Cane's. If you look at Raising Cane's sign, it says Raising Cane chicken fingers. That's it. Don't go to Raising Cane's looking for a salad. Don't go to Raising Cane's looking for anything else. So whatever it is that you're pitching, pitch that. Stay focused on that one thing and don't go outside of it. Don't all of a sudden, because you're good at this, include that. Stay focused on that one thing that, number one, is going to generate the revenue that you're going to be able to, for pitching purposes, grow. But think about, like, again, Raising Cane's chicken fingers. They got a sandwich, it's chicken fingers. Don't go there expecting a fish sandwich. Stay focused on what it is your brand is and make it clear and keep it clear.
And very, very quickly, just keep it simple, stupid. Right, just like we in elementary, that's just what it was. Inside of your pitch deck that you're putting together that'll go on the screen, what was helpful for me with my practice, I put little cues, right, that only I could go ahead and kind of remember up here. So I knew when I saw a picture of Todd that I was going to talk about my big brothers, big sisters experience. I knew that when I went ahead and had a certain graph that we're going to talk about the journey and that. So that's going to be very helpful, putting cues for yourself mentally, because it's easy to go off track because you're passionate about this, right? But when you go ahead and you hit that switch to the next one, you see that slide, that's your mental cue to reel yourself back in.
We have about 10 minutes to go. You liking it so far? Okay, blink if you're liking it so far. Let me see here. Joy. What makes a client feel your brand energy? You know, you're a winner, so what was it? I mean, how many competitors did you have at the time, and what made you stand out?
I'd say just I live my brand, so I believe it and I live it. So my brand is joy of events. I bring it. My motto is let us deal with the little thing. Enjoy the little things. We'll deal with the rest. So Right there, it's just we are people who go into events and take stress away from people. And I carry that energy with me as I talk to people. So, I mean, I've talked to clients that have been like, immediately I talk to you and my wedding planning stress is already just gone. Like, I feel comfortable. I haven't even booked you yet, but I'm so comfortable with the conversation we're having that I feel more relaxed than before we had this call. And so for me, it's the energy that you give, you know, you'll get it back. It'll reflect. They'll feel it and it'll reflect on yourself. So put yourself, live your brand, live that energy, and make sure that people understand, you know, the energy you're giving off and what your brand actually is.
I want to add to that. I like what you just said. They should be there for your brand energy. I like to say you should have a mantra too. Cause you mentioned a couple of them just now. Our mantra for our company is we provide the muscle. Simple. Simple. What's that mean? We can talk about that, but when we show up and you're desperate to get out your building or have something hauled away, we provide the muscle. Oh, I can't get rid of that. We provide the muscle. Done. You know, I'm loving that. McDonald's or Nike, just do it. You want something just like that. And it starts to be your brand energy throughout your whole company. Hey, we provide the muscle. Oh, okay, yeah, I've seen your trucks. Keep it simple, really simple. And for your customer, the ones that you need to attract, they'll find you. It may not be, you don't want every customer. You should be saying no to more customers than you're saying yes to. If you're saying yes to every customer, you're going to lose. You're going to say no, 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 yes. That one that calls is going to be your budget, your profit margin. You know, you're going to put some money in your pocket, everything. If you're saying yes to all your customers, you're going to be out of business. We say no weekly. No, that's okay. Call these other companies. They can do it. We want that customer that wants to pay, has a bona fide pain point that we can solve. If we can't solve it, we're going to send you to another company. We're going to send you to Tow Man. Hey, I don't tow cars. You think junk and towing are no, I got a guy. And you want to be a resource too. If you provide value to other people, even if you don't take their money, you provide the value, they'll come back to you. You want to tell any experiences in like providing value to a client or a customer that you didn't make money from, but ultimately, you know, you provide the resources to someone else. I know Tiff probably has plenty of resources like that.
I haven't shared this, and just again to piggyback off of what both of you said, positive, POSITIFF. I thought that was so stupid in the beginning when I started to say it, but people realized positive was a play on the word positive, and it just means positive. That's all it is. That's the only kind of energy that I want around me, and that's the legal name of my business, Positive. So people would say, "Oh, I love it." And I'm like, "You do?" Like, but now I'm very confident in it. Like, it's positive everything. But I just recently, and I'll share this with you because it was what he said about saying no to clients. I just recently had a client who was referred to me from someone, and they had a conference coming up. When I say, and I'll tell it because it ain't going nowhere, but this person was very good at what she did. So 2 days before her conference, we jump on a call. She's speaking at a conference, over 600 women. All the way up leading to the conference, she's reaching out to me, and I'm pouring into her. At this conference, for the first time, she sold her books out twice. So she came to me, and it was just some adjustments in her speech that I made and how she approached it and how she showed up. So when she came back, now again, that was just as a favor for a friend. You know, I'm a resource. When she came back, the first thing she says was, "Can you not tell anybody that you're my speaking coach?" What the helly? Can I not tell anybody I'm your speaking coach, but you still want the resources? You still want to move forward. You still want the value. You want to be in the spaces. I'm presenting for United Negro College Fund in July at a conference. "Oh, can you get me in there?" But you don't want nobody to tell. You don't want me to tell nobody I'm your speaking coach. So again, like you said, I had to take a step back, and I was literally like, I can't do this. I can't do this. It doesn't matter what that would have led to as far as resources. At that very moment, my value is questioned not by me, but by you, because you already saw what I'm capable of. And then she said, I hope you're not offended. I said, the only thing I'm offended by is you keep spelling my name wrong. She was like, oh. So since then, I washed my hands of it. Don't be afraid to say no. Every client is not your client. I don't care what money is there on the table. Do not be afraid to say no. All money is not good money. Sometimes it's more stress than what it's worth, and walk away from it.
Thanks, Tiffany. Great example.
Yeah,
Hey,
so I know.
Yeah, go ahead, Leland.
Real quick, I know entrepreneurship is like this. We're all over the place. We all have that. You know, we can. When you get on a panel like this, we might talk pitching, but we're going to talk real life business too. Because while we have you here, we want to give you the jewels you're going to need to really succeed. It's important that we grow these businesses in central Pennsylvania right now. I know when these kids come home from college, they're calling to say, can you give me an internship? Can you give me an internship? Can you give me an internship? It matters to them. So for us to be successful and have that profit margin, have a good pitch, that we get the investment for our companies, you know, this is cut your teeth on competing like this. It's competitions all over the nation you can make money from. I've been in probably 10 of them myself, or been a part of them. Make your money, bring it back, invest in your business. And then I love what Jamie said earlier. Show the proof. I'm into lean startup. I'm into MVP, right? Minimum valuable product. Show me a little bit of your milestones on your own, and then come back. If you're just talking about, I want to do this, but I haven't done anything, it's going to be a harder launch pad than if you said, hey, I sold X amount, but with your help, I could sell Y amount. That's the pitch. Hey, I'm not begging for money. I want you to get on like Shark Tank. Hey, we're here. I want to go here with you. So I know we have about 3 minutes, and I don't know if it's any last comments.
Yeah, how about one more question or two? Who had their hand up? Can you share your name, please?
Hi, my name's Andrea, and I had both a quick clarification to ask and then the question. Is it Jaime or Jamie?
It's Jaime, but okay, so quick story time. So I'm a junior, so growing up, I had to separate myself from my pop, so Jamie most of the time, but it's technically Jaime, so you extra credit.
Okay, it is 7:51, so we have had an hour and 51 minutes where we've been referring to them as Jamie, so just, okay, my question was, and you touched on this a little bit, which is that you were mentioning that the pitch may be to a customer or it may be to an investor. Those are two very distinct people that you're pitching to, different resources. What are some factors that play a role in deciding what to alter around your pitch and how to cater to who you are pitching to?
Everybody's a potential investor or customer, right? An investment doesn't always mean money, right? I believe in social capital, sometimes going further than actual capital. So if you have that mindset, it just might mean if it's a customer, you're telling your story a little bit more. You don't need to talk about the finances or the numbers or that component, right? If it's the investor, you're going to get those questions. You're going to start with your story and lean like a little bit more into it, like as you all kind of go through your pitch. And I believe it is a 7-minute pitch still? 5-minute pitch, right? You'll have that 5-minute pitch, but treat everybody like everything as a business opportunity.
Yeah, I would just, it's calibrating based on who the audience is. And the one thing that I'll add is the ask at the end, right? So are you asking someone to buy your sandwich, or are you getting someone to invest in your restaurant, right? Two different types of asks. So just knowing what that final ask is going to be would also differ.
If I may, also, what you can't see is I'm recording. So I'm a big visibility person. So if you're able to record your pitch, record. Pop it into whatever you pop it into and make it content. Put it on every social media platform, because that's how people see you. That's how people become familiar with what it is that you do. That's how you get eyes on what you do. Do not be afraid to show up. Do not be afraid to stand out. Do not be afraid. At the end, in here, you're all going to be friends. but this is a competition. And if I may, do not get up here reading anything. You've been in here for 7 weeks, you know your business. Do not get up here reading anything, and I'm gonna say this, and some and O's and so's, the and somes. Do not get in here, don't fill in your fillers with ums, ands, and so's. Don't be afraid to take a minute and pause if you forget, but still know that you have the 5 minutes. But don't stand up here, it's your business. It's your business. They don't know it, you know it. So speak about it from the heart. Do not be afraid to talk about your business and show up as your business, because you are your business.
Got one more example too. So this is actually more in the political realm of things, but I think it transformed. Well, I'm not going to get political, but but I think these are transferable skill sets of knowing who your audience is. But the more you practice and the more you pitch, you'll start to get a sense of what certain audiences want to hear about your business and what connects to them specifically, and then you can start tailoring your pitch in real time, and that's when you hit, like, I don't know, expert mode. But you know, I was giving stump speeches, and the more I gave my stump speech based on the neighborhood I was in, I was able to identify what were the needs of that neighborhood. So I could pivot in real time of, like, oh, I know this neighborhood, these people care about leaf pickup because they got 1,000 trees up here, right? So you can pivot in real time. The more you practice to different audiences, what is that audience going to connect with, and you'll be able to identify that and connect with them. So those are other real life pivots as well.
So yeah, Jamie, I mean, you said we're not going to get political, but I feel like there might be something you want to share.
I'm running for mayor in Lancaster City, so that's the yeah.
All right, my question is it might be a little off topic, but how many of you guys have used or relied on grants starting out? And when I apply for grants for a community event I do, people say to ask for my full amount. So say my soccer tournament's $30,000. What's the difference between asking somebody for the $30,000 when I would rather not? I'd rather get money. Like, even if they were like, oh, I'll give you $3,000, that would still be beneficial compared to a loan from a bank where should I ask for $30,000 for, like, how do I know my financials to qualify, stuff like that. So, thank you.
So my conference last year, conference series is all funded for the most part by sponsorships, by grants. Shoot for the moon. That's it. Like, there's no difference in you asking for $100,000 or $3,000. Like, your pitch should be the same. So to me, when it comes to grants, obviously it's a little bit different because of a waiting period. You have to kind of wait to see if you got it or not. But even grants, you have to tell your story, right? That's what grant writing is all about. The numbers all have to be there, but making sure that you're telling your story. And then when you get pulled into the county, because we're manifesting this right now, right? When you get pulled into the county commissioners to go ahead and tell your story, you'll be well versed because it won't be your first rodeo.
If I may very quickly, don't rely on the grant solely, because another part of Positive, I have a Positive Place, which is a nonprofit 501c3 organization here. And I support victims and survivors of domestic violence by helping them to complete victim compensation applications. We have a domestic violence peer support group, and we do court accompaniment. I received my first federal grant last year before the administration changed over. I put the money out ahead of time, so it was reimbursable. After the event, we were notified that it was terminated by the administration. So I'm out a lot of money. And they appealed it, but if I didn't have other income streams in place and I was solely relying on that, I would have been screwed. So don't rely solely on the grants.
Go ahead, Jamie.
One word. So I just want to piggyback off of that, because grants, I would argue pre-COVID weren't really a thing if you weren't a nonprofit. So one of the best advice that I can give any entrepreneur is make sure that you know your numbers. So your startup costs are going to be that specific number of what you need. And if your startup costs are $10,000 and someone says, I can give you 5, you should have a plan on making up for the other 5, or, well, I can do this then, right? Having that understanding of what you could do with different numbers. But then getting capital ready is extremely important. So, assets, we help with microlending. We do sometimes offer grants, but that's been very rare in recent history. But our goal is to get you capital ready to go to an M&T bank for traditional financing, because that's where the real power is. When you can go to a bank and ask for a business line of credit, a mortgage to buy your building, that's where the economic power is, where you're going to see tremendous growth for your business. And then we could get into equity investments. But being capital ready as an entrepreneur, extremely, extremely important if you want to be successful in business.
Awesome. Hey, thank you. What do you all think of our panel tonight? Yeah, thank you all. Some really, really great nuggets that we've taken from you. Appreciate your experience. We appreciate your thoughts. We appreciate you being here. A couple of things that I've took notice. How are you solving a problem? We want to focus in on that. And how are you creating value for other people? Find your strengths and lean into it. Somebody shared. Take losses and learn from them. How many times again did you lose? And then study the business you're in and understand the numbers. Again, we'll have an opportunity to talk more about that later on. Again, thank you very much. I just have a couple of quick announcements to wrap us up here. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to sign in on the attendance sheet. That's going to be crucial for us to be able to track your eligibility to compete for the grant and make your pitch. All right? Everything that you need to know about your pitch. I know a couple of people walked in a little bit later this evening, and that's okay, but you missed a couple of pieces of information. Everything that you need to know for your pitch is going to be in your official rules document. Alrighty? The intro links, again, is the file sharing platform that we're using. That's where you're going to upload your pitch. If you have problems with it, I know a couple of people had some trouble. If you have some questions about that or you're having trouble, let us know right away, because we are on a time constraint for the submission of your pitch. Email Gail D'Angelo. She might be watching. She's going to be excited to get all your emails. All right, and then just a quick housekeeping item. If you're parking in the M&T Bank garage, that number to get into the garage, the access code is changing in the month of June. If you want to write it down, it's 5217#. 5217#. All right, and then next week, we're discussing financial statements and all about credit. Thank you for being here. Whoa, we're not done yet.
Real quick, I just need your surveys for the week. Thank you. And also, next week will not be in this auditorium. It will be in the auditorium at 222 Chestnut Street in the UPMC Tower building. 3rd and Chestnut, the other HU building. If you don't park in our parking lot, I would park in it for that one. Yeah, it's right there. It's next door to the parking lot. So it'll be in that auditorium. It's 3rd and Chestnut. It's a huge building at the corner of 3rd and Chestnut. It's a giant building that says UPMC Tower, Harrisburg University. Oh, the code is 5217# for the parking. But I'm sure somebody from somebody from M&T will send you the code in your email, because that would be most advantageous. So next week the class will be at the Chestnut Street building, because they will be using this auditorium for something. Okay? Can I get y'all a picture before y'all leave? Corey gets on my nerves, y'all. Here.